We're on Kuf Aleph on the base on the top by a Mishnah. There's two Mishnahs here. There's two Mishnahs. We're holding by the top one. Hashem, we're able to learn Torah every day. That's for learning. We should have this in English. The Mishnah, and the son also from Metzia. We're saying for having the Sarah. For Italia, that's all. Yes, then I think it's better. Okay. Whoever else needs. We had a nice a small farbrengen last night. Okay. Hamasker bayis lachaver b'meisa geshamim eini yachal leitzia min hachag b'ad Pesach. Someone rents a house in the winter. You can't be evicted from the house between Sukkot, Chag, the holiday is usually Sukkot, between Sukkot and Pesach. The landowner, the homeowner can't evict his tenant during the winter months. Maisachama in the summer months. Shleishim Yaim. The way the Gemara is going to learn, he has to give him 30 days notice. Mitrachim, if it's in the big cities, over there's marketplaces, there's not a lot of houses. So if you're going to evict him, it's going to be hard for him to find another place. It's like in Manhattan, maybe. It's hard to find a place to live in Manhattan. It's easy. Yeah. So all those, there's high rents and everything, all those. If I get a little cubicle for 10,000 a month. Interesting. So betrachim in these places where there's these big marketplaces, then 12 months because you won't be able to find another place. You have to give him enough time. You should be able to look around. Bachanuya is if it's a store, whether it's cities or these big cities, you have to give him 12 months. If it's a store that sells bread, or if it's a store of a dyer, baker. Yeah, the baker is where they bake it. This is where they sell it. But, anyway, this is or if it's a dyer, so then Shalishanim to give him 3 years notice. Now the explanation of the 3 years notice is because he sells on credit. So if he has to, it takes him time to collect it. So if he doesn't have 3 years to be able to collect all those things, he's going to lose out. People are going to say, "Oh, I owe the guy. I come to look for him. He's not going to be there." He has to be able to set up, the payment plans for 3 years. The Gemara asks right away, what's the difference for the winter that you can't evict them and in the summer you could? Gemara says the chiyaga in the space of because when someone rents a house for the winter, he says he's renting it for the whole winter since that was the arrangement. So then he can't evict them during the winter. Gemara says 1 second, that can't be an answer. Then in the summer also, when he says I'm renting it for the summer, he's renting it for the whole summer. What are you telling me stories that in the winter, fine. It's like this guy said, what are we doing for comes home from Shul? Says, what are we doing for Father's Day? So his wife says, well, we didn't do anything for Mother's Day. He says, yeah, that's Gayish. So anyway, so here, what's the difference? If the whole summer is the whole winter, what's the Ella? There's a difference. During the rainy season, during the winter, it's hard to find another house. So that's why you have to give him. That's why you can't evict him during the winter. Ema Seifa. Let's go further. It says Krachim, if it's in these big cities where there's marketplaces, Echanim Meisachama, in Megillah, Krachim are the walled cities, right? It says whether it's summer or the winter, you have to give him 12 months. Now, 1 second. Give him 12 months. When does the 12 months end? After 12 months, it doesn't matter, right? Whenever it ends, it could be in any time of the year. But 1 second, it's going to come out that you're going to evict him in the winter. If the 12 months ends in the winter, it's going to be in the winter. How could you do that? How could you throw him out into the street? He doesn't have anywhere where to go. Rabbi Yehuda comes in and explains what we're talking about over here. It's not if you're allowed to evict him, you're not allowed to evict him. But here we're talking about the time that is required, the notice that you have to give him that you're going to evict him. How much time you have to give him? You have to notify him that okay, B'achi Kamar. And now when you read the Mishnah, it reads differently. If someone rents a house to his friend, he doesn't say anything. He doesn't tell him for how long or whatever. But what would happen is they would set the price. The real thing over here is they change the price on you. That's going to come up in a moment. But he rents a house. How much it is per month? You can't evict him in between Sukkot and Pesach, unless you told him 30 days beforehand, not beforehand, 30 days before the whole season. You have to tell him during the summer that in the middle of the winter, I'm going to need the house because my son is getting married and he's going to be moving in here. And I have to let you know 30 days before the summer that I'm going to need it in the middle of the 30 days before the winter. I'm going to need it in the middle of the winter. Tanya Namihachi. Started in a Brisa, when they said 30 days, when they said 12 months, that is just for notification. Now, when you read the Mishnah again, the Pesach, the would mean that they have to notify him during the summer 30 days. In the same way that the owner has to notify the renter, so to the renter has to notify the owner the same thing. The Amarle, because he'll say to the renter, and if you would have let me know that you were moving out, I would have gotten a good renter come in. I wouldn't have gotten these college students that are going to party all night and break the walls. I would have found a nice family, an older couple, no hassle. Okay. Amaravasi, if one day of the winter comes in, then you can't evict them for those 6 months from Sukkot to Pesach. The Gemara says 1 second. You're saying that if Sukkot passes, like one day into Sukkot, you're stuck. That's not how it works. We said that you need 30 days before. We said 30 days from before the winter. So we're going back to Tesvav Elul. That from Tesvav Elul, 1 day enters in Tesvav Elul, means it goes now Tezayin Elul. Now you've lost the 30 days. Tesvav Tishrei. 30 days before that would be Tesvav Elul. Once you go 1 day into Tesvav Elul, Tezayin Elul, they already can't evict them the whole winter. Amar Rav Huna says, that if you want to increase the rent, you're allowed to increase the rent. There's no holiday. It's just a month before Sukkot. Now they have limits on the rent. How to, they can only adjust it if they only can change the rent if you change owners. Every time, this is how it was in New York. If the house was, let's say they have these buildings in Crown Heights. So let's say there's an apartment that changed every year. There was a new couple that moved in there. So the rent was like every time someone moved, the rent went up by I don't know, $25. It went up. So like every year it went up. The house, the building's been there since the 40s. It's then there was like one apartment that was there by this old lady. She was born there, and their rent was still like $500 for rent because they can't switch it when they're there.
You can't increase while they're in it.
Right. Yeah, only when someone moves out. At least that's how it was. And huh?
I mean, then they raise your tax.
Okay, so here Rav Huna says, but okay, you can't evict them, but you can raise the rent. So Amalei Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman says to Rav Huna, this is a interesting example he's giving. He says this is like grabbing someone's by his testicles and telling him to give you the coat. And it's like the person that you're forcing the person to move out. You're not allowed to tell it. You're not allowed. You can't evict him, but you're basically forcing him to move out anyway by telling him, okay, you raise the rent to a price that he can't afford, and then he has to move out. The Gemara says, "Leitricha the Iker Bati." Talking about over here, why was he allowed to do that? Why did Rav Huna say this? It's because it was very clear that there would be a loss to the owner. There would be a loss to the owner if he doesn't raise the rent.
Well, that's what now they completely changed the game. Now it's home association.
That's what happens now.
Island, the amount that the association doubled the and they get that big.
Oh.
Everything, every other cost associated with the property, rent, association, taxes, they put up as much as they want, but then the owner can't raise the rent.
So the maintenance fees and all that stuff is.
Florida, what they did, so of course they put a law that if the owner is going to raise the rent by 10% more, he has to give the person 60 days. Yeah, so then they can start the more expensive rent after 60 days, or the first half of 60 days.
Wow. According to what we're learning in the Gemara, if the cost of living goes up, in other words, the owner has to provide certain things. It's going to cost him more to maintain the whatever maintenance the owner is responsible for. So then it would be acceptable to raise the rent. So how do you expect me to maintain the property when you're paying me nothing? Okay. The following is obvious. This usually concludes with a question, but not really based on if the home of the owner collapsed. Now there's the owner's house collapsed, and the renter is living comfortably. Amalei, so the owner can tell to the renter, "Le'adifas minai, you know better than me. I have to live outside and sleep in the street while you're living inside." Says no, I own the house. I'm taking over the house, and you sleep in the street. Let's say the owner sells it. He bequeathed it to someone as an inheritance. Maybe he died. Yaviv matana, he gave it as a gift. Amalei. So now the renter says to the new owner, who's trying to make a shtick over here, he says, "Layadifas migavadasis minay. You have no strength more than the person that you came from, and he wasn't able to evict me. So who do you think you are? You only bought his rights. You don't have any more strength than that." Kalalei libre. If his son got married, I think that's what it means. He marries off his son. So Chazina, and then we have to see if he was able to notify him or not. Then he should have notified him, right? He should have given him time. If it was one of these long engagements, that they knew they knew a year ago or whatever, they knew 6 months ago, so fine. But if it was one of these quick engagements, then you can say to the renter, not the renter, the owner can say to the renter, he can say, look, I'm gonna have to move out of my house for my son to come in, and I'm not gonna have you inside the house, and my family is gonna be in the street. Who Gavra? There was a person, the Zavan Arba de Chamra. He bought Zavan. So how do they? What's the Aramaic of it? What is the vowels? Zabain or Zavan? No, but I need to see. Dizvan. Dizvan. Yeah. Dizvan. Yeah, I have the same words. I just the word Zavan could mean to buy or sell, and I can't tell the difference unless there's vowels, and the Gemara doesn't have vowels. So I mean, it's obvious here that he bought. But anyway, so Ugavar Dizvan Arba Dechamra, he bought a boat that was full of wine, a ship that was a party boat. Boatload. Now he has a huge problem. He doesn't have anywhere where to store the wine. So Amar Le, it's a problem. I have a friend that bought a load of books, like some store used books thing. He bought a whole thing, and I thought, yeah, what's the big deal? But when the truck showed up with pallets of books, it became like he couldn't do anything. It's like he got it like very cheap. And then he had to rent a place, and it became like this huge problem. You can't just throw them out in your garbage can. But, you don't know what to do with it. So he says to this woman, do you have a place that you can rent me that I can store this wine? Probably has to be temperature controlled, right?
Sell the wine.
So well, he would like to sell it, but it's going to take time to sell it. And meanwhile, he needs to store it. So Amrale, she says to him, I don't have any place for you. I don't have any place available. Well, Azal Kitcha, Yavali Duchtalayla. So he decided he's just going to marry her and betroth her, and he'll get a place. She really did have a place. So Azal Lebese, he goes to his house, he betrothed her. He goes home, Kasav Lagiti, writes her a divorce document, Shadal, and he sends it to her. Okay, meanwhile, what happened was he got the place. It wasn't just a betrothal, it wasn't full marriage. They would get married later. So he betrothed her, then he gets the place, then he sends her a divorce. So Azal Agra Shikulai, Mineo Bay, Afixe, Vausui Bashvila. She hires porters, and she pays them from the wine itself. You can drink as much wine as you want. Just get the stuff out of here. Or maybe she actually said, a cup per barrel or something. Take it out and put it in the street. She has the right to do that. Amar Avuna Breder Rav Yeshua. Avuna Breder Rav Yeshua says, "Kasherasa ken yasalai gemula yashav b'reishay." As he did, so they did unto him. They returned onto his head what he did. Basically, he deceived her. He married her just to get the place, so she deceived him. So that's considered acceptable. Not only if the place wasn't up for rent, even if it was up for rent. Amra she says to him, even though I would be rent, this place is available for rent, but it's not available for rent to you. Because the dumbest like because you're comparable to me like a lion that's like ready to pounce.
It's the same woman that he divorced.
Yeah.
Talking to each other. Ruin it.
That was what do they call this? A service where they have to talk to each other. Yeah, I know, and people are divorced and they can't talk to each other after everything gets recorded. They talk through they text or something.
This is the situation we talked about today.
Right. Right. Rav Shimon ben Gamliel Aimer. Shimon ben Gamliel says, "Shall nachlaim shall tzom shall ishanim." It takes 3 years when Shimon ben Gamliel to evict someone from a store that sells bread or of a diet. Because they give a lot of credit. Because they give a lot of credit, so then you can't evict him because he has money that's coming in. He's going to lose all that money, so you have to do time.
It's not just the money, it's also the attitude.
How does he explain the Gemara that says because of credit?
Well, maybe he thinks him to use a lot of credit.
Maybe it takes a long time to pay for the machines. Hillel is quoting to me a note that Meiri says that it has to do with the machinery that these places have. These stores have. They have like big machinery. So I'm asking, so what is the Gemara? The Gemara doesn't mention that. The Gemara says that has to do with the credit. So maybe it's because they bought the machinery on credit. Maybe that's what the Gemara means, because they had a lot of.
You have to give the guy time to pay it off.
Has to pay it off.
Let me know if you fill up.
I was in 6th grade, so I was staying by people's houses in Muncie. I was boarding. I was in school there. So one of the houses that I stayed by, the father would sit by the table like this. He put his feet across the chair on the other side, so he couldn't put that chair. Just sit there with the Gemara the whole time. Anyway, I remember asking son, that was my friend, I said, "Did your father ever finish us?" He would just sit there every afternoon, sit there for like the Gemara. The father would. So he asked his father, "Did you ever finish us?" He said, "If you keep bothering me, I'm never."
Ali, it's challenging to hear you today. Is it possible maybe to move your phone a little closer or something?
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Let's see.
You want to hear the story again?
Okay, sorry. Amasker bias lachaveri. Someone on a new Mishnah. Someone rents a house to his friend. Now we're talking about whose responsibility is the maintenance of the house. Amasker chayiv, the renter, which means the homeowner, is chayiv the delas to put up a door. The nagar is some sort of bolt, not a bolt, it's a beam, I think, that goes across the double door. That's a bolt. Okay. The minol would be a lock. And anything that takes a craftsman. That anytime you have to call in outside help, so that would be on the homeowner, to his responsibility. But anything that doesn't require professional worker, then then the renter has to do that.
Oh.
You don't call up the landlord because you have a mess in the kitchen, That's but Azevel Shabalabayas. Remember going back a few years, I was trying to learn this Mishnah. And the way you have to read this is Hazevel. If there's manure in the courtyard, who gets that? Is it the homeowner, or does it belong to the renter? It says Shel Balabais belongs to the homeowner, but I read it years ago when I learned it. So Zevel Shel Balabais, the manure of the homeowner. I'm trying to figure out. So what's the halacha? Where does it go? That's not how you read it. Yeah, Zevel. This manure Shel Balabais that belongs to the homeowner, not to the renter. If the renter wants fertilizer, the only fertilizer he can get is what comes from the oven and from the other oven. Yeah, from the coffee maker, from the stove, oven and the stove. Okay, which can the ashes is also used for fertilizer, right? Okay, Taner Abanan started in a brisa maske by Slachaveira. Someone rents a house to his friend maske chayav laham leidlases. The homeowner is obligated to put up the doors, to open the windows, make sure there's light. Windows was light and air. L'chazik tikra. If the roof needs to be strengthened, yes, the homeowner is responsible to strengthen the roof. Lismech leikaira, to support a beam that was going across. That's the homeowner. But the renter, he's obligated to set up a ladder, lasses lemaika, to put up the fence around the house. I would think that would require a professional, but that's not what it seems like from here. It seems like anyone can do that. Lasses lemarzev, put up a gutter. The gutter was used for to make sure the water doesn't drip right by the base of the house, because it would ruin the house, which would collapse, would like sink in with all the water's there, right? Right. You got to get the water away. Okay. Latiach eskaga, and also to plaster the roof. It's the latiach sounds more like to put tar. Smear tar on them. What do they call that? The wet mop. Wet mop. Okay. Boy, my name Rav Sheshes. They asked Rav Sheshes the following question: Mezuzah almi, who's obligated to put up the mezuzah? Mezuzah, that's what you're asking. Amar Mesharshi says mezuzah chayvas. The mezuzah is obligated of the tenant. Whoever's living in there has to put up the mezuzah. Alamakim mezuzah almi. We're not talking about the mezuzah. We're talking about the place of the mezuzah. What that means is that if you have a stone archway, so in order to get the mezuzah in there, you have to chisel in. It's a big job to chisel in, because you can't. If you have a metal frame, also it's hard. They use tape if it's a metal frame. But the old wooden door frame, you bang it in, it's no problem. But if it's in stone, you have to carve it in. So Amar Rav Sheshes Tanisua Davar Shein Maisum, anything that's not it doesn't require a craftsman. Renter has to do it. This is also not the work of a craftsman. Efsharu begubsa the kanya, can hang it up even if it's metal. You can still hang it up in a reed. Get like a little hole in there and attach the reed. Put the mezuzah in the reed as a case. So it doesn't need to be the maisuma. There's ways of doing it that are more simple. Oh, we're about to see this. Taner Abanan. Everything has a source in the Gemara. Start in a brisa. Maske bayis lachaveira. Someone rents a house to his friend. The renter has to put up the mezuzah. When the renter leaves, he's not allowed to take it with him. He has to leave the mezuzah up. Minachri, if he's renting from a non-Jew, then he does take it with him. The explanation why he has to take it with him is either because the non-Jew, the owner, may destroy it, and also maybe you don't want people to think that he's Jewish. The guy that had in his car, he kept the yarmulke. They told him that in case you ever get stuck on the road, put on the yarmulke and stand outside, and someone's going to pull over and help you. So okay. So we don't want him to have this guy to have a mezuzah because people are going to think it's a Jewish house. He's going to fool people that he's Jewish. Just like that. Also, we don't sell tzitzis to or talis to a non-Jew.
You might not know what they're gonna do for the way.
Yeah, but the talis itself is not.
No,
It's
no.
not holy, or tzitzis isn't holy. But we don't mezuzah. Yeah, that's fair. But for the talis, we don't want him to walk around.
Because you don't walk around in shul.
Yeah. Ma'aseh bechad shenatla biyadei. Story: someone that took the mezuzah with him, the yatsa, and he left the house. Took them as his mezuzahs. And he ended up burying his wife and two sons, two children. So that's not a good thing. Now the Gemara just said that from a non-Jew you do take it. So the Gemara says, "My solicitor." 1 second, the story contradicts the halacha. So Rav Sheshes Aresha. No, the story was the story where the owner of the house was Jewish, not non-Jewish. The first case over there, he took it with him. He wasn't that he wasn't supposed to do. Azevel Shabalabayas. The manure belongs to the homeowner. The renter only gets the fertilizer that comes from the oven and from the stove. Obviously, there's a lot of things that need to be discussed here, because if it's his animals, why doesn't he keep it? If it's the homeowner's animals, so what's the chiddush? Was he renting if it's from outside, who's renting the courtyard? So what's the case? Are we talking about that? The renter rents the courtyard, the turi, the seicher, and the oxen belong to the renter as well. Amaishal balabayas. Why does he have to give it to the balabayas? It's his house. It's his animals. Not his house. He's renting it, his courtyard. So why does he have to give it to the balabayas? It must be that the renter is only renting the house, and this is in the courtyard. What does he have to do with the courtyard? He has the rights to walk through the courtyard. He's not renting it; he's allowed to walk through it. Vituri Damascus, and the oxen belong to the homeowner, to the actual owner. Says Pshita, of course it's not his. He doesn't even own the courtyard. He doesn't own the animal. It says like Tricha b'chatzer Damascus vituri dasa be'alma kamubei. Dasa me'alma kamubei. Talking about that the courtyard belongs to the masker, belongs to the homeowner, and the oxen that are coming in are coming from the street, and they're just coming in to graze maybe, or to wander around. They leave manure in the in there, so he wants to keep it. The renter wants to keep it because he has rights to walk through it. He says, no, it's not yours; it belongs to the homeowner. Messiah Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina. Why does it belong to the homeowner? This supports Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina. Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina taught Chatzer Shladam Kenelei Shlamidaitei. Person's courtyard can acquire for him, even though he's not aware of it. So since the homeowner that he lives somewhere in I don't know where, in Toronto, and this courtyard is being rented out, whatever, to some other place, but nevertheless the homeowner himself acquires this manure because the courtyard can acquire from him even if he's not aware of it. Basically, the Gemara has a question. We have a brisa that says that if a person says that any found object, any lost object that ends up in my courtyard should be acquired, he says he didn't say anything. It doesn't help. With this Gemara we had before in other places. In Gittin, I think we had it. It says that, well, how come he doesn't say anything? Of course, it acquires from him according to Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina. Says, we're dealing with the courtyard that's not guarded. The courtyard that's not guarded doesn't acquire for you. 1 second, if that's the case, if that's how you're going to explain this, let's go further. That if there's a rumor in the town that this person has just found a Metzia, he's just got like he won the lottery, like he got something came into his property. So then Dvarav Kayam, and then his courtyard acquires for him. 1 second, if the courtyard is not guarded, so what that there's rumors that this guy just got a treasure. So what? Why is that protected? It's given the once there's these rumors going around, then everyone knows that that what happened, and they stay away from his courtyard because they know that he has something special in there. It's not just like
He probably put cameras and.
yeah. So therefore, it becomes like it's a chutzar mishtameres. It's like a guarded. It's like it's guarded because everyone knows that he's got special stuff in there. Meisvei, where's the question? Zevali, it's menatan or menakirayim, the fertilizer, the manure that comes. It's not manure here. It's just fertilizer. Zevel could be fertilizer. That's manure, or it could also be like compost, or it could be ashes, any sort of fertilizer. What comes from the oven or from the stove, and also what he catches from the ear. This would be, how would you catch it from the ear? You would put a container on the back of the animal, so that when it makes, you catch it in the. So that would be kilit min avir. Yeah. Hareu shalai, this belongs to him. The big fertilizers in those like places come from the bats. They have these caves, and the birds. There were even wars that were fought over these big places. So the birds, they come over there and they.
Guano Islands.
Guano.
Ecuador.
In Ecuador. In Ecuador, they had like, huh? Yeah, it's perfect fertilizer. The bats, the birds eat the mosquitoes and whatever they catch during the night. They just hang and then they piles and piles of fertilizer that's very very good for the soil.
I need the proof. Doesn't smell either.
Yeah. So, this belongs to the sounds like we mean the renter. This belongs to the renter. Sheberefes v'shebechatzer. Refes is the stable, I think. How do they translate that? Cowshed. Okay. V'shebechatzer, and of the courtyard. So balabayas, that belongs to the homeowner. Mar says v'misa l'had Rabbi Yisrael bar Chanina. Damar chatzer shladam penelei shlemi daitay. Going back, if the courtyard acquires, even without the owner knowing about it, it automatically just becomes his. So when it comes in the airspace, it should automatically be his. Avir Chatzeruhu is the airspace of his courtyard. That doesn't have to hit the floor. Once it comes into his airspace, it should already be his. Abaya says, talking about that he stuck this vessel on the back of the cow that they really didn't come into the airspace. It went straight into the vessel. So that's why it doesn't get acquired by the homeowner. Now the Gemara says, another teretz. Rava says, when do we say that the airspace is considered the property? That's only if it's going to fall to the floor. And someone comes along and catches it and says it's mine, and we say no, because it's already considered on the floor. That's where it was headed. Naturally, it would head in one direction, down. But over here, because there's something intercepting it, so then it's not safe for Lenuach. So that's why the airspace doesn't acquire. Is this obvious? Does Rava really say this? That avir shein safe for Lenuach, that airspace that is not going to rest is not considered rested. This was a question that Rava had in Masech Shabbos. I think it was Masech Shabbos. Does it say that this was in reference to Shabbos? Rava had a question.
Same question in the.
Oh. Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. If someone throws a purse through this window, it goes out the other window, the window on the other side. I remember this at the beginning of Shabbos. We had that. So avir shein seif lenuach kamunach dami elav kamunach dami. Is this considered that it's rested, or it's not considered that it's rested when it goes through one window and out the other one? So Rabbi has a question. Now you're telling me that it's because it wasn't naturally falling, wasn't gonna fall down in the property. Rabbi says, okay, so it's not rested. 1 second. That Rabbi has a question about this. Is it considered rested or not? It says hasam mifsak midi, hacham mifsak keli. We can answer this easily because over there was nothing that was intercepting it from the floor, even though there was energy that was making it fly. But there was nothing blocking it.
The inertia was there, but there was no object that was acting upon it to stop it.
The resistance.
The moving system.
Shabbos, it required the action to get the
On Shabbos, you need both actions. You need to put it down. Yeah. We were saying that what was the question in Shabbos? The question was if Kluta Kamisha Onka, something that's flying as if it's resting. When it's going over a territory with okay. But over here, there's a vessel that's intercepting it, so it's not considered rested, obviously, according to Rabbah. If it's a cow shed or if it's a liquor or real shabalabayas, belongs to the homeowner. Tarti, how do you say both of these things? The cow shed would mean that it belongs to the balabayas. I understand, but the chutzner was, I guess, what it means is that if he was renting the chutzner, then why doesn't it belong to him? Talking over here that the chutzner was rented to the renter, but the cow shed belongs to the homeowner. So it says now, Amar Abaya Hachi Kamar. What it means to tell you is Sheberefes Shebechatzer Real Shebalabayas. The cow shed that's in the courtyard was not rented just because the person rented the courtyard.
right.
So therefore, that's why he doesn't get the manure from there because that's not his. Amar Ravashi. Rashi says, this tells us that if you rent a courtyard, you don't automatically get the cow shed. Meisvei, the Gemara has a question. Birds of a birdhouse or birds of the attic. You have to do shiluach hakein. You have to send away the mother bird before you take the eggs or the young. Now, there's a rule that it says that it's only in the wild. It's not if you own it. If you own it, then you don't have the mitzvah of shiluach hakein. You're allowed to take the birds without sending away the mother. It's only in the wild where you have to send away the mother if it appeared. So basur spegesel mipnei dark yishalom, and no one is allowed to take it because of a decree that they made that causes fights. So mipnei dark yishalom, no one's allowed to take it, but you still have to send away the mother bird. Okay. Now sending away the mother bird means that you don't own it. You're not allowed to take it. Mipnei dark yishalom means that you still really don't own it, just we don't want fights. So we made a decree no one can take it. If we're going to accept Rabbi Yosef Bar Chanina, that says that a person's courtyard could acquire even though he doesn't know about it. So Kari Kanki, Kari Pratlam Azuman. The pasuk says that when you will chance upon a bird sitting on its young, you have to send it away. That's coming to exclude when it was prepared, which means when you own it. So here you own it. So why do you have to send away the mother bird? Amarava, Beitza, Bietzias Ruba, Hu de Chayva Be B'Shiluach. This is a very Gemara style answer. It says that the egg, you're chayav to send away the mother bird once it comes out most of the way from the chicken. Not a chicken up here, it's another bird, a dove or whatever. But you don't only acquire it when it comes out fully. So it's the egg is not yours. But you still have to say the mother bird because at the moment beforehand, you have to send it away. When did it say you have to send away the mother bird? Before it falls in. You have to send away the mother bird while it's still like on its way out. So if that's the case, then why does it say you're not allowed to steal it? No one's allowed to take it. It's not his. It says that Iman, that's talking about the mother. Not allowed to take the mother, not the eggs. The eggs they are allowed to take. Really, you could say it's talking about the eggs. And it's just a decree that because once most of it came out, the person has his mind on it, and made a decree that no one else can take it, even though it's not his. Now that Rav Yudah Marav has said, says you're not allowed to take it as long as the mother is on it. First, you send away the mother bird, then you can take the young. You can still say that it fell into the courtyard, and you're not allowed to take it. If he would be allowed to take it, then we would say his courtyard is like him. But because he's not allowed to take it, because he didn't send away the mother bird, then the courtyard also can't acquire it on his behalf. Because if he didn't send away the mother bird, he has no rights to take it. Because even if he was there, he wouldn't be able to take it without sending him away. And if he can't acquire it, then his courtyard also can't acquire it. Halachically, he can't acquire it because he didn't send away the mother bird. 1 second. Now you can't take it because of Darki Shalom. If you send away the mother bird, so then the courtyard acquired it immediately. Then he can't take it, not because of Darki Shalom, not because of a decree. It's actually stealing because his courtyard just kicked in and acquired it. And if he didn't send away, so what do you mean he can't take it because of Darki Shalom? You can't take it because he didn't send away the mother bird. You have to send away the mother bird. And once you send it away, then it's not yours anymore. So the katan, the lav bashiluach, talking about the child that doesn't have the mitzvah to send away the mother bird because he's just a child. So he's not allowed to take it because of Darkish Katan by Darkish Shalomu. So the mitzvah of Shiluach HaKain he doesn't have. But he has the mitzvah to keep the rabbi's decrees, not to take things that are because of Darkish Shalom. This is what it means. Aviv shel Katan chayav lahachselem ifnei Darkish Shalom. The father has to return it because of Darkish Shalom. Because, okay.
Peace.
Okay, Shikaya.
This is all in the case where you want the egg.